Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's conversation around why Black Lives Matter. At the end of last week, we agreed that we would continue the conversation because we did feel like it was a big piece of healing, and part of it was that we started going into the feeling of what unconscious bias looks like inside of the policing system. So yeah, I'm going to hand it over to the rest of the team to take us forward in the conversation. And yes, we will carry on from there. Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to comment or share your experiences with us in comments. And also, please feel free to like and subscribe to our videos on the Church of Union YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
Deji, you ended last week with some comments and some statements, and so you want to kind of help us continue that conversation? You're muted if you're talking.
I'll try my best to refresh in case anyone forgot. So I recollecting, I feel that it was Kanisha speaking on how I think it was Kanisha, help me out here. It was different how it was with with African Americans and Caucasians when it comes to I forgot. Yeah, the specific details that you said. Help me out.
I talked a little bit about like there was a fear of like what I recall is there was a fear of being killed, of like speaking up in my truth, speaking up in leadership, wanting to lead as a Black woman. And what I said had came up for me was like some of our most important leaders who were initiating change, like Martin Luther King. They were both, in a sense, murdered, even though they were trying to bring together people and show love instead of anger or hate. So yeah, that was just like where I had kind of ended things. It was just like this fear of being punished for speaking my truth and showing up in this world.
Okay. So so thinking on that, I feel that I was aiming towards the example of what happened with George Floyd. In case no one knows this, there was 4 policemen that was involved with, his death, period. And one of those policemen happened to be an African American. And this African American was what we call a rookie, meaning someone who was new to the force. This incident happened on his 3rd day of work, and this man, his name is J. Alexander King, and there was actually a huge New York Times article on this man. It talked about how he was a really huge advocate for Black rights and equality, and his purpose in joining the police force was actually trying to push for change, inequality when it comes to policing. However, unfortunately, that backfired because on his 3rd day of work, a innocent African American male lost his life because his head sergeant had his knee in this man's neck. And obviously, this could have been avoided. He could have just said something, but unfortunately, he was following orders from someone higher who obviously was not African American. And I, I I forgot the main purpose of why I brought that up. because of how you said when you stand in a place of love, Martin Luther King was killed. Yes. And unfortunately, this incident happened in a place of hate,
Mhm.
covered in following law and order, quote unquote. And an innocent man was killed. And unfortunately, J. Alexander King is getting the biggest spotlight of this because
Mhm.
his family, this man's family actually spoke at NAACP, you know, conferences saying they don't stand by what their cousin or son or brother did and pretty much disowned him to the world. So yeah, that sucks. Yeah. That's the point that I wanted to point out when it came to, Kanisha's explaining when it comes to policing and following orders.
Yeah, like feeling into it, I guess there's like an upset that like if this was like a calling for him to want to join the police force so that he could bring equality and then chose not to step up in that call, there's some anger around that. There's some upset around that. It's
Mm.
just like what would have happened if he would have just
Said, hey, bro, like
yeah,
he's
like
but
like if you're choosing to put on the uniform and that is your choice and that's why you're coming to do this, why not step up here? And at the end, it's because he chose fear over love.
yep. And to make it even worse, it's not funny, but it's funny how it all happened. There's actually a video clip online of a woman telling him that he's not allowed to shop with us. And there was, I forgot, it was like a shop mart or something, and this woman is videoing him saying, do you feel that you should be able to shop with us right now, even though like you're pretty much a murderer? And that's what kind of sucks more because he was the only one that got videotaped with that. The other one, uh, the guy who had his knee on George's neck, Derek something, I forgot to pronounce his last name. His wife announced on social media that she's divorcing him, but boo fucking who cares? But yeah, I mean, seriously, who cares? Like, you're divorcing him, okay, whatever. But like, yeah, Jay is getting the biggest hurt out of this. It's sad.
Yeah, I guess I think I don't know what's coming up is like this feeling of like I don't know why it feels wrong to say this, but like defending his own, and that feels like separation right there. Just defending just an innocent human being in general. Like it doesn't matter the color of the man who is on the ground.
Yeah.
Like if you know something is wrong, to stand up and like defend that person. I don't know, treating everyone like Jesus would treat everyone. I guess that's my upset is that they're not choosing Christ consciousness. So I choose to
help you
Go ahead.
through what's coming up if you'd like.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Cool. So what's the upset, like in a sentence?
I'm upset that people are choosing to stand up in fear and not in love.
Okay. So can you direct this back to you?
Yeah. I'm upset with myself because I'm choosing to stand in fear and not in love.
Yeah. Can you let go of this choice and make a new one?
Yeah.
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 You can choose love. These situations are reflecting where people give too much power, give all their power to fear, and then really shitty stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a difference by just choosing love.
Yeah, I guess like there's like this feeling that like somehow love can't, like authority overpowers love somehow. Like there's a reason to fear authority here.
There's no reason. You're safe, right?
Yeah,
Always.
yes, I'm always safe with God.
Yeah, all you have to do is surrender to God's safety.
Yeah, I choose to surrender to God's safety.
Yeah. No matter what happens, He always has your back.
Uh, yeah, I guess there's like I guess my upset too is like if he was called to become a police officer to help with equality and like he didn't step into his calling, I guess, or like really claim his calling, I guess is what the upset is here. And I can see how that's being reflected to me as well. Like really
Yeah.
trusting and listening to God when he's given you direction.
Yeah, do you trust God's calling here and
Yeah, I
through
do
love
trust.
only?
Yes.
Yeah. And can you surrender responsibility for others' actions?
Yeah, I choose to surrender responsibility of others' actions.
Yeah. This experience is showing us where, like, we don't need to not listen to God. Like, it's more powerful to listen to God. It's where power is. God is power.
Yeah.
That calling for love is the most powerful thing. And I guess I feel like there's an upset with power and what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel about power?
A lot of times it feels controlling and like manipulative.
Yeah. But what is that really underneath the illusion of it being power?
What do you mean? I don't know if I quite understand.
Like, well, when you feel into those cops, what were they feeling on the inside when they were trying to assert power? But what was it? How are they feeling?
I feel like they were scared.
Yeah, they're very scared, giving into fear, like completely. And that's not power.
No, I guess like yeah, God's like wanting me to like see them as their inner child, and their inner child's just really angry and upset and hurt.
Yeah.
I could choose to have compassion here.
Yeah, exactly. And you can have compassion for yourself too. For if you've chosen fear, now you know that power's not. It does not come from fear. It comes from love.
Yeah, and just know that power comes from love.
How are you feeling?
Just giving myself permission to claim my power, to know that I'm safe
Good.
in God. Yeah.
Good.
And just, I guess, forgiveness for myself and towards them, like just forgiving myself for choosing anything but love, and forgiving them because they really, I guess, don't know any better.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any different, like it doesn't make it better, but like if I can acknowledge the fact that consciously I feel like they're not realizing that they have a choice here.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
we're healing right now. Just
Yeah.
we're making real difference in consciousness by recognizing we do have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I choose to recognize that within myself. That through this healing, I'm making a difference.
Yeah. And eventually this healing and will spread to more and more people. So these things don't have to happen.
Yeah, there's like a feeling like I want to control the change like right away. Like I just want it to change in like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, you can
I
surrender
choose to
that.
release control there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
choose patience here.
yeah. All you have to do is just surrender to God.
Mhm.
And everyone else is on their own path to healing. They'll come here eventually when they're ready.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you feel like you're maybe trying to control this to like save lives.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's just like I guess there's, okay, that's what it is. Like I'm angry that someone thinks that they somehow like can not put judgment, but like bring judgment to someone, like ending their lives in that way. Like, I don't know how to explain that. Like somehow like,
How do
like
you
it's
feel
just I just like I feel angry. I'm,
about
I'm mad because the only one who really gets to bring judgment is the only one who gets to do that is God. And so like I'm mad that they're trying to be God is what it is.
that?
I'm upset with myself for trying to be God.
Yeah,
That's the upset.
you can surrender that anger to God.
Yeah.
Surrender that job to God. Just gotta be God's child.
Yeah, just be
Very
God.
easy to be that because it's who you are.
I guess I'm just sad because I just don't want to see any of God's children hurt. I know that hurt is an illusion, but
Yeah, you don't want to see yourself hurt, right? Yeah. You can give this part of you the safety and love she needs. And that's available to all of God's children.
yeah.
What you're seeing is just some of his children refusing that love and safety. And that's their choice. And God is respecting that choice that they're making. But you don't need to make that choice. And you can, by making this choice, you're showing others how powerful we all are.
And that's what's part of my calling.
Yeah. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. How do you feel about all of this now?
Just much more peaceful. Just given, because I just give it to God. I mean, I'm not God. My only job is, like you said, is to be his child and to love myself, to heal. And by doing that,
Yeah.
I'm helping my brothers and sisters.
You're doing an amazing job just by being here. You don't need to do anything else outside of being a child of God.
Mm. Yeah, I just choose to completely surrender here.
Good. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Good stuff.
So our first card is Surrender Resentment. Holding on to resentment only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life.
Amen.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Feels good.
It does. I feel much, much better. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to it whenever we see like these really like shitty situations happening, it's so important to recognize like what's fundamentally going on within these people, and it's very easy to paint them as like horrible people. They're not children of God, but that's not the truth.
The truth.
And, and yeah, it's really important to see that they are actually children of God and that they are capable of healing, and they are capable of seeing that love is powerful and that they don't need to make these choices of fear and abuse. Because that whole situation was just fear. But as we're walking the world, wherever we are, like we're making that new choice of love and sharing that with others. So yeah, it just feels really good to not give power to that fear that they are asking for. They're asking for more fear, and we can't feed that. What is Deanna smiling about over there?
We're just amening over here.
Yeah.
Really powerful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Just like-
God through you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I love your smiles. They're so cute. Cool.
That was powerful. Thank you, Kanisha and Marley. Something that came up for me as Deji was kind of saying the story and explaining was, why does like the same thing that Black people do or a person of color does is something that it happens worse for them than if a white person did the same thing. Like the effects is worse, the consequences are worse, the ramifications are worse. It's like, why'd I gotta be? And it like shows up. That's what came up for me. You remember?
Wait. In what way exactly?
Because he's the only police officer, the Black police officer is the only one who, like what came out the story from what you were saying was he's the only one who's kind of getting this like backlash of things, which is, if we think about it, it's like not bad backlashes, right? But at the same time, he's the only one. And
I think what it is
yeah.
that's what I was feeling into, was like if someone was gonna step up, it should have been him. It was like the feeling. And instead he chose not to.
Unfortunately.
And that's where that backlash is coming from. And so it's like I think people feel like if there could have been a difference made, it would have been him stepping up and like pushing the other officer off.
Yeah, I just want to also say like it you have to remember too, like from his like perspective, like he likely, the reason why all this is happening is because he himself within feels so judgmental about this, right? And so like that's why he's experiencing all these people judging him, because he actually has that grief within his own heart. And you know, likely have, if he were to have the mirror exercise and heal that, you know, he probably wouldn't experience that level of judgment, and he would be able to, you know, release guilt, release shame, and stuff like that. But it's because he has those feelings within his heart that he's experiencing that in the external world right now. So he's not a victim, and I mean, no one's a victim, right? But like that's what we're really learning. And so it's just a matter of doing the mirror exercise and loving ourselves in those places where we feel powerless, which is kind of theme of what we've been talking about.
Another thing I was feeling is like, is there like a feeling of betrayal? Because in the Black community, there's like there's closeness between you, and you would expect that your Black brother would protect another.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just about feeling betrayed within yourself. Is there like a part that feels like you're being betrayed?
Yeah.
Yeah, and can you truly betray yourself?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that like there's definitely like this feeling of like abandonment, and I know that that is not true. So I choose to release that. That's what I'm currently healing to, is like really truly releasing any attachment to abandonment and feeling like I can be abandoned or betrayed by God.
Yeah. Yep, he's not going to. He never
He
has.
just wants to love me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I choose to know that I can only be loved by God.
Yeah. Good. And you can choose to only experience love. You don't need to choose to experience abuse.
Yeah, I choose to release any attachment to abuse.
Good.
I choose to experience only love and peace and harmony in every area of my life.
Feels good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
I don't really understand why people would expect that policeman to be the voice that would have changed the situation. Because like, I don't know, he was on the job. It was his third day on the job, and just because he's Black doesn't mean that he should have been the one expected to change the situation. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just don't understand it. But yeah, and when I see all this judgment on this man, of course, I know he's responsible for his choices and he has the opportunity to heal, or he will have. But when I see all this judgment, I don't understand, like, where is the compassion for someone who is probably in a structure where, first of all, he's new, and second of all, people have the potential to threaten his position or make him lose his job. Like, I could definitely see why he wouldn't have stepped up, even though it doesn't excuse what he did. And I don't see any difference with his colleague. Like, anyone could have been the voice who would have stepped up. And maybe there is a cultural thing, but that's not how I saw the situation. And I see Deji probably has some things to say about that.
So wait, you said you don't understand why he didn't say anything?
I mean, of course, like, no, really, I don't. I mean, of course, he's Black and it's his Black brother on the ground, but why should all the responsibility be on his shoulders to say something? Like, that's something, I'm just responding to something you said like earlier about, like, I'm just questioning that, because why, like, this sense of betrayal doesn't come up with other policemen? Like,
Because it's a sense of compassion within the African American community that not a lot of other races are not going to understand, because the African American community has a lot more trauma that tops more than anybody else. And
Yeah.
you don't want to see that trauma happen to your brother or sister, because that could have been your brother or your cousin, no matter what their name was or what their position was. It was a Black man. And because his reason for joining the police force was because of that, I feel that's why he got the most judgment. He went back on his reason. And it's a point of sticking, and it's a intention of sticking together that a lot of other races are not going to understand.
yeah.
Feels like an upset around like the community not meeting. Like, I love what you said. Like, you're like, Black people have experienced trauma here. That's why we're doing this healing. That's why this group is here, right? And anyone who is not Black is essentially not being compassionate and meeting that community where it's at.
Yeah, I think what I'm feeling into it is that a lot of these people who have been killed, of course, have been innocent people. You have children, people who were asleep in their beds who have been killed, and they've been Black. Like, that is the upset within the community, is a lot of them were harmless. They weren't really doing anything in the moment to be killed, and yet they were. And for some reason, that right there, I don't know, that right there just seems like a lot of people aren't just kind of wrapping their head around the fact that a lot of these people aren't doing anything to be killed.
I did see that, like, Irene was pointing to something where, like, we are, like, putting all responsibility onto police and onto this person to make change. But we have to we all have to take responsibility for our consciousness, right?
No matter the job or anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, no matter what, everything that's happening in this world is in our consciousness, and it's not anyone's single responsibility.
So is the upset here maybe that there isn't a sense of community and cohesion and union amongst the people of the world?
Yeah, it's like it really, yeah. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it comes back to like, why does it have to be color? Like, can't you just take care of another human being? Like, do we not hold that kind of compassion within us to be able to see that a human being no matter color or gender, that if something is wrong, then to choose to help them. Like I said, it always comes back to like, what would Jesus do? Jesus walked with the sinners. Jesus walked with those who everyone usually shunned. And in a sense, like he loved them unconditionally, and he even loved those who were out to kill them. Like can't you just unconditionally love the human being standing next to you? But I don't know, there's just like the upset with that unity there.
Yeah,
Just
so is
not
upset
seeing each
that-
other as oneness.
Yeah, so our upset is that we feel like unionism is not spreading fast enough.
Mm.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the energy. I feel like our energy is an upset around separation consciousness, and as it plays out in how the races see each other and what the races expect of each other inside and outside of the race. Yes, I'm asking deep and meaningful questions. But yeah, I have that sense because I like we like quite a few of you have touched on components of the same upset. And I feel like Deji kind of brought it into our awareness, even just in the introduction. So what I wanted to just find out is, does it feel like that's actually where we're upset, that there's still this level of separation in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Of course, it's gonna feel bad to us because we're usually choosing love, and that's probably why it feels so big and upset, is because we know better in a sense. But yeah, that's why of course it feels really bad, is because right now it feels like there's more separation than there is oneness, but that's the illusion. That's really the biggest illusion.
Well, the illusion is that separation is real.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, it's
we are
not.
separate from God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing around us. That's not true. Yeah, I think we just we just need to focus on ourselves here and heal how we feel separate from God. Can't control how people see themselves on the outside. Yeah, we're one with God.
But the other thing that kind of strikes me is that perception of there's always a breakdown before a breakthrough. So sometimes it just feels like everything that can possibly be wrong is wrong. But it's kind of just the precursor to the contrast actually leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this whole event sparked this group to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty cool group.
It is.
Lots of healing happening.
Yes. So yeah, I think at some point, and I think you mentioned it, Molly, it's around, and Kanisha brought it up as well, it's around compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to go back to compassion, because we might not understand people's choices, but we also need to honor people's choices. and meet them where they're choosing to be, even though we choose not to be there with them. We're choosing to be in a state of love, and that's what we're demonstrating to the world. And we are hoping and we are praying that they join us. And we will show them the way, and we will walk them home as unionists. But we need to show up as our authentic selves, which is in the space of love.
Yeah, Jeff touches on that. Someone had asked why, I guess you can say us, get to meet our twin flames shortly after doing this work, or even get to be on this work. And his answer was because we have such a deep level of compassion. And so that's kind of why we are like the honey badgers that are leading the way, because we came in to this lifetime with such a deep level of compassion, that's just what it requires. It's just really having compassion for ourselves and for our brothers and sisters, and choosing to see that only love is real.
Did you were going to say something?
No, I was gonna say, you said honoring their choices.
Not well. I mean, honoring.
Well, you can love them unconditionally by
So
allowing them to just make their choices.
So while we may not understand their choices, and it may look to us on the outside as unacceptable, we still have to meet people where they're at.
I was gonna say, when you said unacceptance, I was gonna say accepting their choices, but not honoring the choice that they made.
Okay, but if we're not honoring that person in their own unique godness, how are we honoring ourselves? If we are all expressions of God, okay, so if we're all expressions of God experiencing life, how do we dishonor the choice of somebody else's choice that we don't understand, doesn't look acceptable, but yet there's still an expression of God experiencing life? How do we then experience God in ourselves and experience our oneness if we dishonor their choices?
I mean, it's not that I was gonna say accepting their choices, meaning accepting their uniqueness, but sorry, but I was gonna say exactly. I was gonna say accepting their choices and accepting their uniqueness, but when you said honor, that's like saying, I honor that a first thing that comes to my mind, honoring a white supremacist for doing what they did. That didn't feel right.
You're not honoring the behavior, you're honoring the God in them. Yeah, that's what you're honoring.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you're honoring that they have free will, that they have a choice, and you discipline that, you love them, you discipline their behavior, and that's how you love them. That's how you honor the God in them, by disciplining them, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I felt that when you accept it, that's when you detach from actually trying to not relate to their choices, but accepting. What's the word?
You can accept that that's what they're moving through, but you don't have to attach yourself to it.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and you don't have to just lay down and accept that this is reality, right? You heal what it's showing you, right? And you put necessary boundaries up. You discipline. Like how we're doing now. We're healing all this stuff around creating these laws and things like that based on our own inner work, so that this stuff doesn't happen, or advocating from that place of love rather than hate, right? So it's honoring this person is a divine child of God, but I do not accept this behavior, and I will not accept it in my reality. Right? So it's more so saying that. And this actually really reminds me, there was a time I remember watching a video where this African-American professor from a university went and spoke to a group of KKK members. And he actually like got a bunch of people out of the KKK, and one person was actually like the Black professor. Just this is all through just dialogue, right, and human to human interaction, and actually like talking about what their feelings were. It was really interesting. And the guy who left the KKK, they became really close friends. And when he had a child, he actually had the African-American professor guy be like the godfather to his child, right? So it's like, you know, he was, this guy was like, he recognized like, okay, there's hate in these people's hearts, but I'm gonna love them here anyway because God's calling me to. I'm gonna have a dialogue here. I'm gonna do the healing work on my end. And like, you know, and that's how I heal it. That's how I, you know, create union. And it's not through this hate that we've been experiencing in the media today.
As you touch on that, I feel like that is like clearing up what the upset maybe Digi was feeling about bringing a police officer on to this chat. I feel hesitant to say that. Okay. It's like having that dialogue and like just like that. Like it's almost, I almost feel like it's the same thing. Like loving them in that place, choosing to love them in that place, and have that dialogue there.
Yeah.
I know I do remember there being an upset about that.
Yeah, it's possible to disarm people, right? It's possible to disarm their ego, right? By not feeding it, you know, through dialogue or what have you. The person has free will, so obviously they have to show that they desire to, you know, have that dialogue. But if they show like, hey, I'm willing to hear you out here, right? And then a peaceful dialogue can happen and the truth will always prevail and the healing will always prevail. And so, you know, you don't go into a conversation to say, I'm going to change your mind on something. It's, we're going to, like, the truth and the healing will prevail through this dialogue. And that's why it's actually really important that at some point, you know, we include maybe a police officer in the dialogue, because then that healing can occur. But the police officer would have to desire that first, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So how's everybody feeling right now?
I feel
I
like
do have a card.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, I feel like I have a piece about what we discussed earlier. I guess the world could learn from the compassion that Black people and extend to their other Black brothers and sisters. But at the same time, I feel what I felt compelled to point out was that you do not have to stick together in fear that no one is gonna, you know, defend you or do the work with you. I guess what was shown was that sometimes in sticking together we feel like we're alone in this world, like in fighting our own battles, but isolated, and that's not the truth.
Yeah, like we're all in it together. Even if it seems like someone's trying to be on the other side, they have the piece of the healing that we all need to heal. Yeah.
So we have surrender the drama, No matter how emotionally charged the situation is, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly.
Come on, cards.
And there's like two wolves on the other, like on one side, it's like you have like your ego wolf and you have the wolf of like love, which one are you going to feed type thing.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think it's just like, it's like the perfect card after the energy that kind of played out for the last like 5-10 minutes. So just everybody, how are you guys feeling? I think we've got a few more minutes to go. So just want to check in. Are we feeling like we're nearing completion, or is there something more to heal in this space today?
I would start off with Deji.
He loves doing that. Do I feel okay?
How do you feel?
I mean, right now nothing's come up other than what we've just talked about. So I mean, I feel complete in this place. I don't know about anyone else.
I'm actually feeling
Someone like something flows in and something else comes up and we can talk about it.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little bit of shame. We were talking about like sticking together. And I guess what came up is like, I can understand like why I've had other Black people get upset of like mixing between races, like being with a different race and like being married. And like for some reason, I just brought up a lot of shame of like not sticking with my own race, like not having, I don't know why that came up, but as Yurina was talking about it, that was just what came up, was feeling like shame because I didn't stick within my own race, even though my twin flame is Black, now that I've acknowledged that. But there was like shame before of like mixing races. Yeah.
Do you need to hold on to shame?
No.
Aren't we like all brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Maybe it's more of like, it feels bad because I wasn't choosing my twin flame. That's what feels off about it. Like, I don't know.
You were or you weren't?
I feel like at the time I wasn't. Like, I feel like I was. I think that's what the upset is like, how am I feeling to this? Yeah, like there was just like my own people were upset with me for not choosing to stay within my own race, even though the race that I had chosen to be with were the ones who like were against us for so long. Like there's like a feeling like I betrayed my own people. Oh, I see where that betrayal upset came from.
Yeah, you're not responsible if people are upset at you for following your own guidance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're upset, they can go be upset, but you don't need to take that on.
I would like to point out that like you have to go like deeper and all the way with the mirror exercise, because it's like it's not about all these other people and all these other races. It's about how you're feeling about yourself. So maybe you're like not accepting yourself because you're mixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's like you have like two worlds fighting against each other, and yet I am both of those worlds. I guess that's like not accepting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you feel this part of you that is judging yourself for your race? And what do you need to feel loved here?
To accept myself completely and know that God created me just like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was feeling like I was a mistake somehow, and I know that that isn't true. I'm created perfectly.
Yeah. Just give yourself all the love that you need there.
Yeah, I guess the upset is like people believing that anything is created is not God's creation. Like it somehow is just like created out of thin air. But it's not.
Are you
It's
God's
creation.
child?
Yes.
So you're divine, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So you just let go of that. And how are you feeling?
Accepted, just acknowledging that I absolutely have a place in this world and that it's safe for me to fill up space, pretty much, like take space.
Yep. And be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Are you gonna pull a card for yourself
I am.
again?
Surrender to wonder and awe, open to the magic of every moment, and sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude will keep you connected to the ecstasy of flow. I love it because it's like a mix of like fire and like ice almost, like a combination of Kanisha. So I love that.
Cool, guys. Thank you very much for today's discussion. I think it was really super to just go really deep into this space. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us in watching, for all the comments. Sorry, in the comments. Also, please feel free to follow us, like and subscribe to our YouTube Church of Union YouTube channel. You can find all the whole healing series around why Black Lives Matter on the channel. So please feel free to watch any of the videos. Please feel free to give us your comments. Anytime you feel like sharing anything, please do so. We do monitor the comments all the time. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.